All right, I need to issue a warning for all of y'all. And here it is. We have way more to talk about than we have time to talk about it. Them, something, whatever. When it comes to our topics, it's like drinking from a fire hose. As you can imagine, as you're following the political news, and of course, this is the election that has the biggest impact, the primary election every 2 years. That's what determines most of the legislative races in Idaho. It's not November. I mean, let's just face it. Democrats have not been able to put up, statewide at least, competitive candidates. And so this is where the contest is. And we find ourselves just having way too much to talk about. And the dynamics of each race are far bigger than to fit into a 4-hour morning block on the radio. So we do our best. We've had interviews. We've had debates. We offer up info and tools. And so but I feel like as I've watched this whole thing unfold with Jordan Redmond over the weekend, this is a panic moment. And I thought, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars of dark money flowing into Idaho from unnamed PACs, and everybody just sort of, I mean, we all agree it's a problem, but the emotion level on a scale of 1 to 10 might be at about a 4. But you have Jordan Redmond, who has done well in life. He is, I'm not sure what his age is, but he's probably in his 40s, maybe early 40s, and he is in a position now where he has created a PAC, and the initial, he's 40 years old. So the initial infusion of cash into his PAC was $250,000. Representative Raybould this morning in our interview with her, and I had not seen this yet, but apparently he put another $100,000 into it. And now we've got statewide panic. They don't like him in the State House. Number one, he's gotten this reputation for introducing a lot of bills, because he does introduce a lot of bills. Now, I do believe that if we had a good, healthy legislative process where bills were not just put in drawers, then I think that maybe there wouldn't be as many bills. But I could be wrong on that. But here, they have it the way they like it. And I'll tell you how they like it. They like a lot of lobbyist cash floating around. They like a lot of these industry PACs. IACI is a good example where the cash flows abundantly. And you hear grumblings about it. I've never seen the 5-alarm fire panic that we're seeing with Jordan Redmond. So he put out a post, and I don't know if you saw the reaction from Jordan Redmond, but I thought it was spot on. I thought the way he responded to it, and I want to read part of that for you. And in a lot of ways, people would say this levels the playing field, and because it upsets the way things are. Now, when you look around and you see, and I think the biggest frustration, I could probably go to each race in East Idaho. Those are the ones that we have been hyper focusing on. But when you look and you see each race that's happening, one of the biggest problems, and it has reached ahead, and that's why I was disappointed that Senator Guthrie, through his people, canceled the debate last weekend. And by the way, we do have Judge Brower here, so I'll probably take a break here momentarily. But we have the issue of putting bills in drawers. I think that probably is one of his biggest liabilities, is that process of taking legislation that has passed in the House, sometimes overwhelmingly, and then putting it in a drawer. And sometimes there are good reasons to do that, but they're few and far between, and they should be quite rare. Sometimes bills aren't ready for prime time. Sometimes the landscape might change. But I was looking forward to asking him about that and giving him an opportunity to explain that reputation that he has earned over the years, the last few years especially, of taking bills and putting them in drawers. So Jordan Redmond, when we interviewed him once this session, and I asked him about this process because he's super frustrated about it. And I said, well, why isn't there just a rule? Why don't we just have a rule that if a chamber passes a bill, then you cannot stick it in a drawer? It has to at least get a hearing in committee. And he said that's already been tried multiple times. They don't do it because they like the quasi-veto power that they have as the chair. Well, guess what? It may cost some of these chairs their committee, and not just their committee, but their seats entirely. So you have that. I don't have Jordan Redmond's reaction in front of me, but that's okay. We'll get to that a little bit later. We also have drama, and you ought to see the messages that we get. We get so much stuff. Julie gets stuff in her messages. I get lots of stuff in my messages. I get phone calls, and I get texts. And I look at this, and I think, all of these problems could be solved if people would just talk to each other. And I didn't hear about this. One of the candidates, as you know, and I'm not going to beat him over the head, he's made his decision, but Representative Ben Fermann, this is a very closely watched race. He won by a mere 4 votes 2 years ago. 4 votes. That's not much at all. And it's interesting because he talks in campaigns like he's got this massive mandate, and he won't do if he does a forum, the rules have to be so tightly maintained that he's not going to get directly challenged on it. And my thought in all of this, and I'll be honest with you, is that hurts him. If I were advising him, and I'm not, obviously, but if I was his campaign advisor, I would sit down and say, Ben, you realize behaving this way actually costs you votes. In your district, people want you to do a debate or to do a forum where you need to be durable and you need to answer tough questions. And most of what I've seen, for the most part, has been pretty much softball stuff. And it did reach a bit of a head. You had Brian Murdoch, who held it was just a forum. He held one for Julianne Young, and he held last week another one for Ben Fermann. And I was kind of going through, I have this software that I can run audio through, get transcriptions from, and I was listening to it. And at this point, this happened at the forum. I want you to listen to this.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neil and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
There's been a book ready and prepared to put out to the public, and I have chosen not to do it. Lisa, I'm talking, please. And the reason why is because I go to church with these people that are voting against me, and that's okay. And I don't want to go to church and not be able to feel comfortable there again because of something that may have been said or how it may have been said. The records are available for everybody to look at. You can verify the bills. I don't need to go on a Neil Larson show to be able to let people hear what I think. They can call me. My cell phone number.
Okay, I'm not going to play his cell phone number because then he'll get inundated with all sorts of anger, and I don't want that for him. Right? That's not the point of this. But when he mentions my show by name and says, I don't have to go on the Neil Larson show, I'm like, you're right. You don't have to. Nobody has to. But I do believe that you can choose what you do and what you don't do, but you don't get to choose the consequences. And the feeling that I'm getting in that particular race is that even people who may have voted for Ben a couple of years ago probably feel like there's a minimum threshold of expectation for any candidate, especially a candidate who won by 4, I don't want to say measly votes because every vote matters, but won by 4 votes that you should be willing to debate. You should be willing to do hard interviews. You should be willing to answer tough questions about your record and about your performance as a lawmaker. And I feel bad for him because I've gotten, and this is my opinion, but I think it has reached the point where a first term, I look at a first legislative term as an audition for a longer political career. And most of them want longer political careers. It's just human nature. I feel like in his district, he's failing that audition. Number one, his voting record. It is very moderate, and especially on the social issues, he's not voting with traditional conservatives, and he'd probably be the first to tell you that. But I also feel like he's failing the audition because he will not answer the hard questions. He has to be in an environment where he can frame it and it's friendly and it's You heard him when someone named Lisa challenged him. Lisa! Which sort of became a funny meme in my head after that. Lisa! It kind of became the new Karen a little bit. I am talking. Okay, he clearly has a short fuse when he gets challenged. And maybe he knows that. Maybe he knows if he comes on this radio show, we are going to ask him. I'd love to know. I do remember a couple of years ago, I bumped it. Well, I had actually reached out to him because I wanted to know what his stance was on Prop 1. On rank, he said overtly he hated ranked choice voting, but he hadn't decided yet on how he was going to vote on that. So I was curious where he stood on that. He said, well, I'll get back to you. He never did get back to me. So I wanted to circle back around there and find out where he stood on that. And he's not going to. And we are at the point now, you should see our interview schedule. It is so incredibly full. I don't know that would even have time if he had a change of heart and wanted to come on to the program. But I will say I am sensing a shift because you have Julianne Young, who has had laser-like focus in her campaign, and you never know for sure. You just don't. But in a race like that, it could go either way. But you sense things. You just get the idea and the feeling about momentum. Another race that I think I'm feeling the momentum shift is the Barbie Hart-Connor Cook race. And not so much a shift in momentum, but I have not sensed the same level of intensity from the Connor Cook campaign that we saw for, well, a good, couple of months there. It was very, very vigorous. And I'm not saying his campaign's over. I'm just saying there's been an energy shift. There were a couple of events, multiple events over the weekend. There was one big event at Aaron Bingham's, and they say it's a barn, but the pictures I saw looked like a basketball court. So they say barn, but I don't know. Anyway, whatever it was. You had the governor there. You had Brandon Wolf there, which was odd to me, and we'll get to that later. You had Debbie Critchfield. She was there, which is understandable. Should support Aaron Bingham. Aaron Bingham is admittedly a strong supporter of public education, and so that endorsement made sense. But you had other people who endorsed but did not appear. Bedke, I don't believe, was there in any of the pictures and videos I saw. Phil McGrain, we interviewed last week and asked him about his endorsement because he oversees elections in Idaho. And I thought, what is the appearance of that when the guy in charge of the elections is picking favorites before the election? I just think that the Secretary of State's office is a prime candidate for recusal in that case, but nonetheless. But he couldn't make it because he said he had a family obligation. But there were no Connor Cook signs to be found, even though there are Connor Cook signs all over next to Mickelson and Bingham signs. I also find it very curious, and we just, again, interview space is at a premium right now. It's interesting that Kevin Cook is putting up his big campaign signs, even though he has no opponent in the primary. I'm like, this is unique. But is it unique? When you think about that, is he lending some name recognition to Connor Cook by putting up the Kevin Cook signs? They're the same color. They're kind of a deeper red. And I thought, that's clever. And that's interesting. But I am sensing you're seeing the endorsements line up for Barbie Hart. She's got Senator Risch. I got a mailer, saw a mailer that was from Russ Fulcher coming in. You've also got the Attorney General, Raul Labrador, and I feel like that is a race that is going to be another victory for Barbie Hart. But so much more we could get to. And more drama out of Bingham County in general. I mentioned this early this morning. I'm trying to get to the bottom of something. I'd like to know who Team Sunshine is. And if you're running for a precinct race in Bingham County, let me know who Team Sunshine is, because it's kind of unclear at this point. We'll be back. All right, it's 8:29 on News Talk 107.9 on the Neil Larson Show, and we're pleased to be joined. Another candidate interview. This is a first for us this election cycle. Talking with, in a judicial race, Cody Brower is a district judge. You're based in Pocatello, is that right?
Basically. Well, no, my chambers are in Caribou County, so down in Minnesota.
Okay.
By legislative edict, that's where one of the district court judges have to be out of, but I preside over the entire 6th judicial district.
Okay. All right. And you do have a challenger this year, and that's been another interesting sort of element. We don't often see sort of these judicial challenges, but we've got a couple of them here in East Idaho this year.
Yeah, it's actually quite rare to have a challenge. District court judges can be ran against. So we have magistrate court judges in Idaho as well, and they're just retention elections. And so they just have to get 50% and they get to keep their job. But district court judges are the higher constitutional court judge, and so they are consequently elected.
Okay, for those who don't know you, Judge Brower, introduce yourself, where you come from, and kind of what your background is for our audience.
Yeah, so I'm from Bear Lake originally, little town called Liberty. Okay. That's where I grew up. My dad was actually the magistrate court judge down in Bear Lake County, and so I kind of grew up in the courtroom. I remember actually waiting for him and falling asleep in the jury box as a little kid. But after that, after I graduated from high school, I joined the Army National Guard, spent 8 years there. We deployed to Iraq in 2004. And then when I got back, once I graduated from school up at BYU-I, then I went to the University of Denver for law school and became a prosecuting attorney after that. A couple of years after I was a prosecutor, I was appointed as the Oneida County prosecuting attorney, and so that's down in the Mlad area, that county. Yeah. And I was the county attorney there for some time before I was appointed by Governor Little as the district court judge after Judge Brown retired in the 6th Judicial District.
Okay.
All right. Why don't you let our listeners know what your judicial philosophy is as you're reviewing cases, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what types of cases you do and how you choose to rule on those.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. I can wax a little loquacious. So if you need to interrupt me, please do.
Right.
So judicial philosophy, just generally, when people come in front of me, I want to make sure that they feel like they're heard, that they're treated fairly, and that they're treated with respect. Because a lot of times when people come into the courtroom, that's one of the worst days of their lives. And it's rare that I get a good time, like an adoption or, a wedding.
Yeah.
But, so they should feel like they're heard. And it's important for a judge to come in without preconceived notions of the case or a decision made up. I don't think judges should be legislating from the bench, which means that when they come in there, they should feel like all the facts were heard before a decision was rendered. And even if I decide against them, that they felt like they got a fair shake. And so that's one of the things I think is really important for a judge. The second thing is a judge swears to uphold the Constitution. And so, you hear life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And those can be lip service sometimes, but all of those revolve around protections that the Constitution gives us. And so whether it be a criminal defendant, whether it be a person with government overreach, with land use issues, a judge first should be considering how those constitutional rights apply to that person. Now, when it comes to what I consider, for example, I'll just go all out here.
You're good.
You're
Keep
fine.
going.
No,
Keep going. You're
I think
good.
it's great.
I presided over a lot of criminal cases as a prosecuting attorney. All the way from reviewing murder cases. I did grand theft cases, embezzlement cases, well over $1 million. Trafficking cases, drugs, basically anything you can think of. And a prosecuting attorney and a defense attorney consider a lot of stuff that a judge doesn't. And as a judge, I am directed to consider protection of society, deterrence, and that's both of the criminal defendant and society, rehabilitation, and then, of course, punishment. And so as I get up there, I have to consider all of those things when I'm deciding what's going to happen or what I'm going to decide, a decision I'm going to make for that criminal defendant. And then also, prior to that, I'm also meant to consider the constitutionality of different things like evidence, whether evidence should come in or not, whether the officers violated somebody's constitutional rights or not. So that's suppression, and those type of issues.
One question I have, Judge, and I think this is probably a premier question that a lot of people have when it comes to sentencing sex offenders, specifically child sex offenders. It feels like we have lots of rider programs and that the system has sort of bent over backwards in these cases to keep them out of prison. And I know that's probably not the right phrasing for this, but maybe explain why that is and what your approach as a judge is, because I think it's much more often than not, you look at the sentencing of a child sex offender and it feels like they're getting a lighter sentence than someone should for ruining a child's life.
Right. So as a judge, I am bound by certain ethical rules. And one of those, and of course, it's so that people feel like they're coming in and getting a fair shake, right? So I can't predetermine sentences. So I can never promise this is what I'm going to do. Politicians will do that. When I become your elected official, this is what I'm going to do. So as a judge, I can't do that. But what I can tell you is what we do consider when it comes to those things and why sometimes those appear to get a light shake, I guess. So like I said, we're considering protection of society, rehabilitation, deterrence, and punishment. Now, we're also directed to consider protection of society first. And when you're looking at a sex offense case, for example, or any criminal case, when somebody's found guilty, we do what's called a pre-sentence investigation report. And that goes out and they collect all the information about that person, their risk, recidivism rate, and we even do a sex evaluation on them, like a sex offense evaluation. And that's by a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
And then they also determine what the risk of reoffense is. And so as a judge is up there, they're trying to look at all of those factors. Now, in a sex offense, obviously, protection of society is incredibly important. Deterrence becomes incredibly important because this is a very, very serious offense. And we don't want other people doing it. And if they see people getting a rider or probation, it's more likely they're going to do it, right? And then also punishment, very serious. The problem is that when you also send somebody to prison, they inevitably get out. And that's where rehabilitation comes in too as well. So protection of society and rehabilitation. Now, every judge has their own, I guess, ability to have discretion as to what they do. And every judge is going to have a position as to whether they need to be more strict, whether they need to focus on protection of society more. And I do think, just like the statute says, I consider protection of society very highly. When it comes to those, there should be certain offenses that you need to protect people from, which means placing them into prison or whatever it may be. Now, we're also bound a lot by plea agreements, and I'm sure that you hear about those a lot. You know, like I said, my dad was a magistrate court judge, and he used to tell me all the time, sometimes the prosecuting attorney has more power than the judge does because they actually decide whether a crime even is brought forward, or they decide...
you can't upgrade.
No, I can't
the
upgrade.
Charge. Yeah.
That's right. And I can't stop usually a downgrade. So a lot of times those start as sex offenses, and then they'll be reduced down to felony protection of child, which isn't even a sex offense.
Yeah.
So then I usually can't even place that person into sex offender treatment or put them on it's because it's not even a so I can maybe place them into sex offender treatment. I can't put them on the sex registry.
Yeah.
Because that's a decision of the prosecuting attorney. And a lot of the times that's going to also impact the seriousness of the sentence. And that can be frustrating sometimes as a judge. Actually, quite frustrating.
Yeah.
So for those who have an opportunity to vote for you, why don't you give them your pitch of why you believe you are great as a judge?
Well, first of all, I think I have a lot of the experience required to do this job. First of all, like I said, I have a lot of criminal experience. Now, a district court judge handles the high-end felony cases and the high-end civil cases. A magistrate judge handles everything below $10,000 in civil cases and misdemeanor crimes.
Traffic violations,
right,
things like that.
That kind of stuff, right. And so that's a really important thing as a district court judge, is to have that kind of experience. I spent a lot of time in front of the court, and I was an excellent trial attorney. So I never was afraid to bring a case to trial. And as a prosecuting attorney, that was my philosophy is, for example, I never actually reduced sex offenses, hardly ever. I didn't think that was an appropriate thing. And so I brought those to trial often because I wanted to make sure that somebody was held accountable there. But the good part about that was I was also able to keep on top of the rules of evidence and the criminal rules. Those are things that are important for a court judge. Now, the other thing is, as a county attorney, I was able to deal with a lot of constitutional issues and land use issues because I was actually representing the county there. So planning and zoning, roads, public roads, water, and then I was even able to advise the county as to ADA compliance, employment law. There we go. And any real issues of civil nature that the county dealt with, which is a very wide range of those. So the experience matters. I also believe I have a very good judicial philosophy when it comes to the protection of society, when it comes to specific rehabilitation of certain people. I was a prior drug court judge. I don't know if you know about those type of specialty courts, but they're probably one of the more effective ways we can actually rehabilitate people. And so I'm a real big proponent of those as well.
Yeah. We live in 98% of the time, Julie and I are living in this sort of left-right, Republican versus Democrat world. This is a nonpartisan race, but what are the dividing lines in a judicial race? Analogous to left-right politics in a partisan race, what if you're elected, how is that different than if your opponent's elected? What differences do you bring that's different?
Well, and it's really important that we be nonpartisan, because a Democrat or Republican that comes in front of me is going to get the same exact treatment one way or the other. Now, sometimes our backgrounds can impact our, I guess, perspectives on things like the Constitution or other things. And so I can't say that we don't have our prior experience.
Yeah.
But the way we treat cases, the way we treat people has to be non-biased and fair. Now, I cannot and will not affiliate with one party or the other. I can say that sometimes I have concerns about whether a judge can be nonpartisan or not, whether they have strong past political affiliations or not, or whether they're influenced by other politics. So, for example, my opponent right now just got endorsed by Jim Ruchti, who is the second highest Democrat in the state. And so then you have to start wondering what kind of political pressure is that going to be? Whereas I don't have, I was the prior elected prosecuting attorney down in Oneida County. But other than that, I don't have those influences that are going to impact my decisions. And so I think that that's an important thing about myself.
All right. Your website is judgebrower.com if our listeners would like to find out more about you and your philosophy as well. Again, that's judgebrower.com. And Judge Cody Brower, best of luck in the election here in 8 days. And we wish you the best in the rest of your campaign.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. It's 8:43 on News Talk 107.9. It's 8:50 on News Talk 107.9. Neil Larson along with Julie Mason on a Monday. By the way, Julie, this is part of the stuff. Would you say this has been one of the most robust campaigns overall generally that we've seen in quite some time?
Like that is legislative and senator representatives statewide, all of that. I feel like it's really robust. I think that you and I were getting inundated with information from both sides.
Yeah.
During the mayoral races in Pocatello and Idaho Falls specifically. That was happening last fall.
Yeah.
So, and the Idaho Falls one felt pretty intense because it went to a runoff that was really... It had a lot of energy behind it. So I think we were feeling a lot of this same emotion then. Now it's just more races, more people, more information coming in because there's more happening.
It's like you look around, it's like there's 11 dumpster fires instead of just one, right? Like it's... So I got a message actually. Apparently there was some confusion about it was going to be a forum, and I might say this might be a little personal privilege here because this is my stomping ground. This is where I grew up. But there was going to be a forum with all the candidates in Aberdeen. And this is my understanding of how it went down. I'm not going to parse through all of it. And they had some initial agreement from everyone. And then you had a couple of the candidates bow out, and they said it was canceled because they bowed out. Well, it wasn't canceled. So what initially was going to be a forum is now a Meet the Candidates event, and that is still happening. So if there was any confusion, you may have heard it was canceled. It's not canceled, but at Aberdeen High School tonight at 7:30 in the gym, you can meet a number of the candidates in the Bingham and Butte County races. So I believe Julianne will be there. I also believe Ethan Neff is going to be there. And some of the precinct people, I believe, are going to be there as well. So that event is happening. Spread the word, my fellow Tigers, that is going to be happening tonight, 7:30, Aberdeen High School in the gym. Be there or be square.
Okay. I actually think it's really, I know you're stumping for your old stomping grounds right now, but I think that this is really important in this race, particularly between Julie Van Orden, Ethan Neff, and then also between Ben Fermann and Julianne Young, which is, this isn't the first time this has occurred over the last month and a half.
You want to, well, here's what's happened. They will then say, by the way, there's no forum. There's still an event. Mm-hmm. But because they're not involved, it's not a forum. So they're telling you a half-truth. Yeah, you're right. There's no forum. There's still an event, and people have still organized it, and it's still an opportunity to get to know some of the candidates. But because you're not participating, it's essentially a lie to tell people that there's no forum tonight.
It's pretty sketchy.
It is really sketchy.
And we've seen this behavior happen in other events that were scheduled, then canceled. Different reasons were given. The events that have happened, particularly in that Bingham County race, I shouldn't just say Bingham because it's more than that, but particularly in that area between Julie Van Orden, Ethan Neff, Julianne Young, Ben Fermann, those are the representatives, and then the other is the Senate. We've seen a lot of those that have just occurred. Like when all of the candidates actually show up, one side has decided the whole entire rule system, the whole setup, everything.
Yeah.
And that would be the Ben Fermann, Julie Van Orden side. Yeah. That's the only way they're going to show up, is if they get to run the whole thing.
It's kind of a rigged deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, here's what I would say. It's really brave of the other two candidates. They keep showing up, even though they know it's a rigged system, because they're like, I'm campaigning and I'll deal with it.
So I've got confirmation here. Julianne Young, Ethan Neff, Victor Salinas, Tim Schertz, and Jimmy Roberts will all be there. So, okay, 7:30 tonight, Aberdeen High School. Back after this. All right, that's going to do it for Hour 1. Hour 2 coming up. All right, welcome back. It is Hour 2, 9:07. That's our time on News Talk, 107.9. If you would like to join the program, let me give out the number, 208-542-1079. Julie, I feel like people are just getting back into the work week at the speed of sludge this morning. It just is very...
I would agree.
Blah.
Do you get it? I get it, though.
Oh, I totally get it. I absolutely 100% get it. We have not had a lot of bandwidth to talk about this, though, Julie. Things are looking horrifically dismal for the Democrats in the midterms nationally. They're losing these court cases because the courts are looking at it saying, yeah, you've been gerrymandering. That's not a, did you see the Virginia where all of the congressional races originated in just the one corner, and then they came out and they did that so they could just fetch Democrats from that, so they could put each of the judges said, no, that is not a legitimate map.
So that's the highly populated D.C. version of Virginia up there at the top. And so they made it look like sunshine rays.
Yes.
Coming out.
Yeah.
So like you said, they shot that down. You now have Democrats floating an idea in the Commonwealth of Virginia, to change the Constitution.
Yeah.
In order for them to drop the age limit of the Supreme Court judges.
Okay.
So judges couldn't serve past the age of 53.
So that would remove a bunch of them.
All of them. All gone because they're 54 and older.
Okay.
This will never happen.
No.
But the point of pointing out what they're thinking about doing is they will bend, alter, destroy all of the rules to get what they want.
Yeah. Well, and they have that same mentality on the national issue. That's why they want to pack the courts. It's why they do what they do. They'll do anything they can, because the one thing they can't do is convince the American people.
Yeah, their policies are so stinky.
It's so terrible. They have to resort to all of this stuff to maintain political power. But it was like this panic on all the Sunday talk shows from the Democrats, super upset about this because they were banking on picking up enough seats to give the majority back to the Democrats. And now it's looking like we could pick up as many as 9, 10, maybe even 11 seats nationwide because the courts are putting a stop to the Democrat gerrymandering. It's beautiful. I just got to say it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So lots of things can happen between then and now. We'll keep watching it. And of course, I think that overall, some things have to change within the Republican Party. Got to tidy up this war, make sure it's taken care of. The good things that are coming from the economy need to be highlighted even more. All anybody is talking about is the gas prices, by the way, which have been this place before, but somehow it's especially evil because of Trump.
Yeah.
So that's what people are talking about. What didn't get any political headlines over the past few days is the jobs report came out, and so many more private sector jobs than they ever expected. Well over 50,000 more. So yes, when you believe the economy is horrible, I get the indicators you're looking at. I totally get it. But you have to look at all of the indicators to kind of get the temperature of the economy. There are portions that need a little bit of tweaking, and hopefully the changes in the war, because there's some changes coming in the front of the Russian-Ukraine war as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully the changes in those two wars will kind of diminish some of the pain that we've been feeling in the economy, and then we can enjoy the great job numbers, because what that does is it infuses more money into the economy.
Yeah, there's some concerns about Vladimir Putin's health. He looked weird. They had the parade for him, and he himself is saying that the Ukraine war is probably going to be coming to an end, because now we are in quagmire territory with that war, and have been for a little while. But I believe that we're going to see, hopefully we'll see an end to that, and that's going to, less war is always good, right? And I think that that will probably politically help Trump. If we can bring Iran to a close, like you said, a tidy end to that war, that'll be good too. And I would think that there's probably a strong political motivation for Trump to reach whatever deal we're going to reach with Iran, to get that done by this summer, so that it's got
to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure. So we have that. Also, Julie, I have not gotten your take yet on the Jordan Redmond meltdown, because he is spending some of his own money in some Idaho legislative races, some PAC money.
Okay, so look, I'm not by analyzing this, I'm not saying I'm 100% in on Jordan Redmond, so don't confuse that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the concepts of what is going on here. We have, particularly in East Idaho, seen a lot of money come through a PAC called Defend Public Lands.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, this is the weirdest PAC to me. It doesn't make any sense. They're targeting people that haven't even weighed in, really, on public lands. So it's just a dark money front for money to be infused in more moderate campaigns. Yep. That's the bottom line of that PAC. I could ask every listener right now to text in, do you know where the money comes from in that PAC? They wouldn't be able to tell you. We know, because we did some research, we know that it's Virginia and D.C. based money coming in through a PAC in Idaho. And it doesn't really match. Defend Public Lands doesn't really match where the money's coming from. It's just a nice little name they slapped on their product. Okay. But if I had asked the listeners, text in, do you know what Defend Public Lands is and where the money is coming from? They wouldn't be able to tell you. Jordan Redmond is a very wealthy man, generational wealth. Yep. And his parents, we were looking at his history. It looks like he was set up well by his parents, and he has done nothing but capitalize on that. Yeah. He is not, hanging out in his dad's basement doing nothing.
Didn't squander it away. Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So he's taking that wealth that he has accumulated, and he has created his own PAC, and he's giving PAC dollars to certain campaigns. He's being very transparent about it.
Yeah.
That's the big difference for me between, say, a PAC like Defend Public Lands and Jordan Redmond's PAC.
Yeah.
He's not ashamed of what he's doing. He's telling you, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They're both influencing elections.
Well, sure.
So for the people who are mad at Jordan Redmond, I actually think you should be giving him mad respect that he's being so open and transparent about what he's doing.
He could have created several shell companies and run the money through that.
Because that is happening in East Idaho, by the way.
Okay, so here, I just noticed something, because we asked Britt Raybould about that earlier, and she obviously does not like it at all. He's probably donating to Larry Golden. I didn't look at that list.
He might be.
And so, however, when I look at this, we gripe about dark money that we can't trace, but we're now griping about transparency money because we can, because now the question becomes, what will these lawmakers owe Jordan Redmond? Because they did. You know what? And I would look at it and say, well, I don't know if that's any worse than asking, what will lawmakers owe the dairy PAC if the dairy PAC spends money to get them elected? What will the lawmakers owe IACI if IACI spends them money to get elected?
The IEA.
And furthermore, the math's a little bit different now, but you have, I think Senator Guthrie last week, it might be more this week, but he was up to $137,000.
Lots of big ag money in there. Lots.
Huge money has been donated to him, and a lot of it from individual sectors. That's more than half the money than Jordan Redmond's initial investment in his own PAC to help out dozens of legislative campaigns. So you have one campaign with $140,000, a huge war chest. The people that are crying about Jordan Redmond are saying nothing about that. But either big money influencing politics is bad or it's not.
Well, no matter where it comes from.
Exactly. That's my point.
PACs are PACs. So you either stand up against it and stop taking money from it, or don't whine when somebody starts playing the game that you've been utilizing for many years.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at it, and you know what? It's the return of the Jedi. The Jedi are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just punching back. They're just deciding, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to push back on this. And I think the Empire doesn't like it. I think the Empire's upset. And this is Star Wars.
I didn't know nothing. I don't even know what he's talking about.
I barely remember. I just remember the Empire's bad, the Jedi are good. But I look at it and I'm like, this really isn't functionally any different than any other well-funded PAC supporting candidates that they like.
I would actually make a consideration here for people, which is the example of the PAC that I was using was Defend Public Lands. That money is coming from out of state, and we don't know where from, other than where it originates. Okay, because it's funneled through certain shell corporations. That's out of state money. Jordan Redmond's in state.
Yeah. Yes.
What are we doing here? You're whining about a PAC that you've been taking money from people who have no Idaho concerns at all.
Yeah.
Yet they've donated money so they can make Idaho more moderate.
Look at the money that came in during Prop 1. It was almost $3 million. A lot of it in the last few weeks.
Right before it went to the ballot.
Yeah. Right now there's a template, and I don't know how it's all going to shake out. But the template is create some front group that sounds good. Like, what is it? Defend Public Lands?
Defend Public Lands.
Okay. They don't give a crap about public lands. They just need a good cause that people will feel warm and fuzzy about. And then they go around and they pick winners and losers. I got the same text you did, Julie. I think it was anti-Barbie Hart.
Yes.
So I texted back, are you going after Governor Little too? Because he signed the bill that you're trying to slam Barbie Hart. I didn't get a response.
He didn't just sign the bill. He gave certain legislators a strong affirmation of it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Harriman Park is going to be protected.
Yeah.
And are you attacking him?
Oh, no. No, but you know what? Aren't we seeing this? I mean, this is rich, Julie. When you stop and think about this, you have these lawmakers and these groups. They're going after Barbie Hart because of her vote on the Harriman bill. But they're more than happy to show up at a campaign event and take the governor's endorsement.
Absolutely. Pictures, videos,
whole shebang.
Signs being held up.
If you want to think about how selective and opportunistic politics are, think about that.
Yeah, because by the way, that Governor Little gave Barbie Hart his word that it would be fine.
Yes.
Yet you're standing with him and taking pictures with him, but you're applauding behind the scenes the destruction of Barbie Yart's campaign, which I don't think is effective, by the way, but the attempted destruction of Barbie Yart's campaign because she made a vote against Harriman Park.
Yeah.
Come on.
By the way, it's not working. Mm-hmm. That money that they're spending to try to oppose and stop her, it is not working.
Yeah, it doesn't look fruitful at all.
Yeah. All right. Coming up on 921 on News Talk 1079, 208-542-1079. If you'd like to join us on the program, you can text, you can call. We'll be back after this.
Hi, Facebook.
Hey, guys. How are
How's
you?
things? I don't know if I'm seeing all of the comments. So, hi, Mike. Hi, Robert. Hi, James. Hi, Craig. Hi, Maddie. And, there's Robert again. It's been weird. It's not showing me everything. So, hi to the ones I can see.
Yeah.
How was everyone's weekend? I got out in the sunshine twice. Once on Saturday and once on Sunday.
Really?
So nice. Took walks both days. It was glorious.
I got some good outside time on Saturday.
How was everyone's Mother's Day?
Yeah, I hope it was good. We failed to wish the mothers Happy Mother's Day on Friday. And after the show, I'm like, oh, that's an important holiday.
Yeah. I don't know why it won't show me everybody's comments.
Okay, have you seen Jordan Redmond's family?
I think so, but I'm not remembering anything particular.
They look like a freaking postcard. Like they belong in the JCPenney catalog.
Yeah.
I think we may see him as a governor someday.
He's setting himself up for it.
Yeah.
Look, and he understands a political game. His dad was a legislator.
Yeah.
And we were doing a deep dive on him. He bought his dad insurance company. He was young. And so when we started to divide everything out, we were like, Dad must have set him up with a fund that built and built and built, because this is what insurance people do. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he had enough capital to buy his dad's, set up his dad for great retirement. He took over the insurance agency that was probably running really well.
Yeah.
And then he went, and now I'm going to take my money and invest further. And that's when he started the pharmacies.
Yeah.
So he's invested in both I shouldn't say pharmaceuticals. He's invested in pharmacies.
Yeah.
In North Idaho. And then there's the insurance, and then he's doing other stuff. And he clearly has money because he started the PAC all on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I don't seem to have any problem. Given the tolerance level for everything else going on in politics, I don't feel like this rises above any other.
I don't think it does either.
Any other thing. So
yeah. PAC money's okay when I don't know the bad guy who brought it.
Well, you know what? I love his reaction to it.
Oh, it was a slap down.
He did not retreat one bit, and I appreciate that alpha male.
Yeah. Well, that's what I sent back to Neil when we were discussing this over the weekend. Jordan Redmond's response, I said, you don't poke an alpha male like Jordan Redmond.
I won't say this on the air, but I told Julie, he's got oranges the size of beach balls. That was the John Kennedy quote. All right, 926 on News Talk. 1079 Neil Larson along with Julie Mason. I think, Julie, I like Jordan Redmond. This is going to be off-putting to a whole bunch of people. He's an alpha male. He did not retreat at all. The Statesman article came back because obviously they see him as a threat. He's young. He's a handsome dude. He's got this picture-perfect family. I was just telling Julie, if you look at his family picture, it looks like the JCPenney catalog. Like and he's got wealth. His politics are just very solid conservative. He's not nut job IFF, but he's certainly not a squishy moderate. Like I could name a bunch of people. He's just solid. He's just solid conservative. But he said after the Idaho Statesman thought they were doing this expose on him putting together a $250,000 PAC, and according to Representative Raybould, he's now thrown another $100,000 behind it. He said, I'll admit the headline in the Idaho Statesman stung a little. Idaho lawmaker spends thousands on election ads against his colleagues. It sounds so dramatic, doesn't it? Like I'm some kind of political heel lurking in the shadows and plotting legislative mayhem against my fellow good citizens. But here's what the headline conveniently omitted. I put my name on it. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. The truth is, legislators and members of the executive branch have been supporting and campaigning against their colleagues for decades. It is nothing new. What is new and apparently scandalous is that a conservative is doing it openly. Most of the folks clutching their pearls right now have done the exact same thing or know people who have, but they did it through anonymous LLCs and nameless PACs designed specifically to hide their fingerprints. Idaho elections have long been influenced by out-of-state money and carefully laundered political maneuvering. I'm simply doing what others do quietly, except I'm willing to sign my name to it. If that makes me the villain here, I'll accept the label. The faux outrage from historically moderate Republicans and Democrats is not really about campaign ethics. It's about the fact that this time conservative candidates are the ones being supported. That changes everything, apparently. Now to the colleagues I am so regrettably, quote, against. Let me be clear. Many of them are genuinely nice people, the kind of folks you'd happily invite to a backyard barbecue. They remember your birthday. I'm sure their kids are delightful. They are pillars of their communities and good neighbors. I work hard to maintain genuine relationships across the aisle, regardless of political disagreement. But here's where the story gets complicated. Being a nice guy is not a vote. And being a good neighbor doesn't translate into conservative policy. Can I repeat that question, that line? Mm-hmm. Being a nice guy is not a vote, and being a good neighbor doesn't translate into conservative policy. When the time comes to vote on property tax relief, parental choice in education, or cutting unnecessary bureaucratic red tape, the niceties evaporate faster than a puddle in the Idaho desert. These colleagues, bless their hearts, frequently cast votes that make you ask, wait, what letter comes after the R on their name tag? Uh-huh. They are, for lack of a better term, Republicans in name only. They run on a conservative platform, then arrive at the Capitol with a curious affliction I call big government amnesia. Suddenly, the principles they campaigned on are replaced by an overwhelming urge to find common ground with people who hold fundamentally different views on the proper role of government. And this is why I'm supporting primary challengers. If the legislators I'm targeting simply voted according to the conservative values they claim to champion, limited government, fiscal responsibility, individual liberty, I could sit back and let the season ride. It's truly that simple. I should also be clear about who I'm backing. These are candidates I have personally worked with, people of strong character who do a great job for their constituents. None of them vote the same as me on every issue, nor would I ever expect them to. That's not the standard. The standard is whether you govern the way you campaigned, whether your votes reflect the conservative values the people of Idaho sent you to uphold. To my colleagues who are feeling unsettled, the power is I love this part. The power is entirely in your hands. Cast the votes that reflect the Republican platform, and my checkbook stays closed. I'd love nothing more than to put this behind us and return to a legislative session focused on actual conservative governance. Until then, I'll keep signing my name to it because while hiding behind a nameless LLC might be more comfortable, Idaho deserves to know exactly who's fighting for conservative principles and who's just pretending to.
I don't care if you like Jordan Redmond or not. All I can say after you reading that is bam.
Yeah.
That was a knockdown.
Yeah.
His response is exactly what I expect from a lawmaker. It was stellar. He owns what he says he does. This is what I've been begging for, particularly with Representative Ben Fermann, who hides behind things all of the time. I'm just asking you to own what you did over in the legislative sessions in 2025 and 2026. That's it.
Stop wringing your hands. Vote the way you say you're going to when you campaign. Be who you say you are. Don't say you're a conservative and then go over there and be mushy. Nobody respects mushy. So, I love it. I love it. This is what I think, it brings a really refreshing sparkle to Idaho politics.
It does. I also want to point out, Jordan Redmond said something in there that is actually almost identical to what Representative Britt Raybould said in our interview this morning at 7:30. If you missed that, it will be on the News Talk website here later at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that interview, she said, I have given lots of money to people outside of my district. We know for certain she has donated $1,000 donations, which is the max that she can donate, to multiple candidates outside of her district. She said, I did that because those people are championing water.
Yeah.
And I want to support them. That's exactly what Jordan Redmond just said in his response. He is sending money to people that are supporting conservative values. Those two concepts are not different. It's the vessel that is different.
Yeah.
And Representative Raybould said, well, I'm capped at $1,000. His is a PAC. Okay. Mount your own PAC.
You can create a PAC. You can do the same thing. Nobody's stopping you.
Yep. The only difference between the intentions is the vessel.
Yeah.
Not the intentions.
Yeah. You know, Julie, when, again, we got to take a break here pretty soon. But when you think through the specific examples of where you have established candidates opposing their colleagues in the same party and backing the challengers, there are multiple examples of that. Mm-hmm. Multiple.
Yeah.
This is called politics. So let go of your pearls. All right, this is politics. It's how it works. There are times when I get frustrated too because there are people who specifically should not be involved, but yet they are. Mm-hmm. People who are leading their party, their county party, they shouldn't get involved in those. They should stay neutral. But if you're already an elected lawmaker and you want to back a challenger to someone, feel free. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we reference the Sunshine Report. You should know who Jordan Redmond is sending money to. If you're a savvy voter, you'll learn that.
Yeah.
You should also know who Britt Raybould has sent money to. If you're a savvy voter, you should learn that. Stephanie Mickelson and Mickelson Farms has sent a ton of money out to various candidates outside of her district.
Yeah.
They're all doing it.
Yeah.
Which is why your handy-dandy data sheet has information on it about votes and why the toolkit on newstalk1079.com has the ability to look at the Sunshine Report.
Yeah.
The information is there. Go educate yourself.
Just text TOOLS to 208-542-1079, and we'll send you that link to the toolkit at newstalk1079.com. All right, we're going to break, and we'll come back. 208-542-1079 is the number if you'd like to join us. Okay. Yeah.
Gary said, I tried texting this, but it wouldn't send.
Like it wouldn't, you didn't get a reply or you couldn't send it?
I'm wondering if we've got something going on with our text
We've
line.
had a really low number of texts this morning.
Very unusual low amount of text this morning, which makes me think we've got something going on our text line.
Well, maybe fixed. We got a bunch of tools coming in.
Okay, maybe it was earlier. Gary, when did you try to send it? Yeah. See, the excuses about Jordan Redmond are full of a bunch of crap because we have lawmakers who have given to PACs.
Yeah.
5,000 here, 3,000 there.
That's true.
It's crap. They just don't like how strong Jordan Redmond is, and it's his own money.
Well,
they want to hide it.
Yeah, it's coming back the other way, and they hate it.
Yep. I'll make sure all of those tools went through because there was a couple dozen of them that came in. It's being slow, loading things. Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
I did a Grok search.
Yeah.
This was my prompt. What do you know about the Sunshine Team in Bingham County? This is new to Idaho politics.
Team Sunshine, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what it says. It's often mentioned critically in Facebook groups and comments on local news posts. Critics, frequently more hardline or freedom liberty focused voices, warn against being duped by candidates or efforts backed by the Sunshine Team, portraying it as aligned with the current BCRCC leadership. So they're taking all of that from Facebook. Okay, it seems that this Team Sunshine is tied to Bingham County Republican Central Committee. It's focused around events, candidate forums, and local office seekers. And that came from East Idaho News, that link. Bingham County has seen notable internal Republican tensions in recent years. Then it talks about the Sunshine Team label likely emerged from or relates to these divides, possibly as branding as a more collaborative or positive approach versus the confrontational. There is no formal PAC or official website.
All right, 940-208-542-1079. Swing by Town and Country Gardens. You can grab the 4-step lawn program, which I'm about to put step 2 down, Julie. I've got the U-mates on about a week and a half or 2 ago. Water's been watering. In fact, I did 2 nice big rounds of watering. And so now I'm going to put step 2 on, and then I'll be right on schedule.
Right on track. We were and visited Rex at Town and Country Gardens. We were chatting with him about, how do you keep your lawn green? We're doing the 4-step lawn program. How do we do that? He recommended mowing about every 3 to 4 days and keeping it cut really a bit longer, which is why you mow every 3 to 4 days instead of extending it. He says we kind of do a disservice to our grass that we cut it too short and it doesn't have that ability to stay green. So good recommendation. And we ask those questions because there's experts at Town and Country Gardens. I'm not a lawn expert. You're not a lawn expert, but we know who are.
Yeah.
And we took their information, and my lawn is super green.
And you can do the same. Just you go sort of in the main area and enjoy the plants that are off to the right, and the staff there at the cash register is very nice. But if you go through that first kind of doorway, the 4-step lawn program is right there. It's on a set of pallets. Just get it. You're all
so
set up
easy
for the year. Most lawns, you can get it for under a couple $100, and then you're set. And it really is very easy. You just use a typical fertilizer spreader on your lawn, whether it's the U-mates or steps 2, 3, or 4. And it just takes a few minutes, and then just water and mow as normal, and you're going to have a lush, beautiful lawn.
Okay, south of Idaho Falls, across from the beer plant on Yellowstone Highway.
Okay, Julie, we've gotten so many people texting in tools because they want to see the sunshine reports, they want to see the money, they want to see the websites for the different candidates, and also what you like to call the handy-dandy data sheet, which is the Party Cohesion Index. Again, I feel like I need to over-explain this sometimes because there's a lot of scorecards out there. Some of them frustrate me because the scorecards are designed to weaponize or unfairly enhance candidates, right? And I tried to just get rid of all the chaff and the noise that sometimes you find in the data. And I felt like a fairly decent way to identify the issues that run along ideological lines are when a majority of Democrats vote one way and a majority of Republicans vote the other. Now, not every vote did that. Sometimes they all vote one way or just sort of mixed, whatever. This was one way where you could say, okay, these are the issues that matter the most. And we saw that on like the immigration issues. We saw that on bathroom bills. We saw that on education and parental choice votes. And I thought, okay, how do lawmakers line up when you sort of have these clear, defining issues that can be divided? And that's when they're all scored on those particular votes. And it varies from the high 40s. Those are the more liberal, more moderate Republicans. And then you had some that scored into the high 90s. Some Democrats scored 100%. You have Democrats that always voted with their party majority. So it's just a way of looking. It's not designed to hurt, to harm, or to exalt or help any candidate. It's just designed to measure accurately how they vote on the most divided issues.
And I want to point out something to go back to the PACs, because the point of the toolkit and the Party Cohesion Index is to learn as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to the toolkit and you click on the Sunshine Report, you get to kind of dig around. The Secretary of State has done a great job with this transparency on this website. It's not hard. Don't let it intimidate you. It is easy to find the information.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to Jordan Redmond and these PACs. We referenced one PAC, Defend Public Lands, that I just think is it's totally fake. It has nothing.
Yeah.
They grasped onto a concept. They built a PAC about 3 months ago and they put this together and people donated to it.
Yeah.
You need to know that there are East Idaho lawmakers that have donated thousands of dollars to that PAC. And that PAC is then turning around and attacking their peers, meaning they knew they were donating that money to that PAC, and that money was going to be used to attack one of their own.
Yeah.
One of their own Republicans, one of their own that they sit with, that they vote with.
Yeah.
Don't let them pretend like Jordan Redmond is playing dirty politics when they're absolutely in the mud.
Yeah.
In this area.
They're doing it, but they want to hide. They're doing it. They don't want the public backlash for it. So,
And you can find it. Go on the Sunshine Report. It is there. All you have to do, it's really simple. Let me tell you how you guys walk through this. You get an ad in your mailbox and you look at it and you go, who's this paid by? You turn it around, figure it out, see who paid for the ad, and then check out that PAC on the Sunshine Report. It's very, very simple. You can see who has donated to the PAC. Now, you have to dig a little bit. If you want to look and say, hey, did a legislator vote to that PAC? You can go and see where that person personally donated to.
yeah.
That's how you find it. That's how you know the names of the PAC, and then you look at your legislator and see if what they've donated.
Well, and we've talked about, there's got to be a name for these, Julie, where this is not the name of them, but I call them Potemkin organizations, where they have a false front and it looks good, like Defend and Protect Idaho. They talk about how, well, this is like law enforcement and soldiers and they're backing. They always seem to be backing lawmakers of one ilk. And I think we're seeing that locally too. There's one group called it's like the Groundwater Appropriators or something.
Okay.
Well, they've created a term called water champions.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no listed criteria.
How did you become a water champion?
Which means, like, Barbie Hart's not been mentioned as a water champion. But listen, if you don't know what the rules are, then you can't win the game. Mm-hmm. You don't even have a chance to win that game. They're giving out awards to people they like. It has nothing to do with water. It's just they know, well, water's an important issue right now with the voters. So let's create a front group that says we're looking out for the water, and then we're just going to hand out endorsements of people that we like. We're seeing that happen a lot now. The Veterans for Idaho Voters, the Todd Achilles group, same exact thing. They tried to snooker the entire state because they thought, well, let's leverage the fondness that we have for veterans and let's get everyone mad and basically tell the lie that veterans can't vote in Idaho because of our primary system. It's not true. Any veteran can vote in Idaho if they're otherwise eligible to vote. So it's that same thing. And this public lands thing, same exact thing. Mm-hmm. They are just picking, and it seems like they're all picking the same winners too.
Right. Which is why you've got to ask, where is the money coming from, and look and see who they're all endorsing. I have one more thing that I have mentioned before, but I am going to mention it nearly every day until this election in 8 days.
Yeah.
You have the ability to see who is propping up or who is supporting a candidate. Just look on Facebook. If you're on social media, you can see it. If it's a majority of Democrats supporting that candidate, if it's a majority of Democrats who are so vocal on that candidate's posts and pages, you need to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
While we're in this mode, I found it interesting. I was at some intersection the other day, and there's Kevin Cook's really big sign sitting there. He's not even running.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, his name will be on the ballot, but he has no opponent. Yeah. There's no reason to expend resources. And I thought about this.
He will be a senator next year.
He is. Yeah. He's already won. Yeah. I don't even know the Democrats are putting up someone against him.
He'll be a senator next year.
He's there, and there was Aaron Bingham. There was Stephanie Mickelson. They had their signs there. And then you had Connor Cook. And I thought, is this an assist with a name recognition boost for Kevin Cook? So when people see Cook, they feel better on the ballot. Like, oh, yeah, I want to vote for Cook. Is that, The colors are very similar, and I feel like the only reason you would actually spend time, effort, resources putting your own signs out in an uncontested race, there's got to be something more to that.
It could be. I don't know. I'm probably very, very skeptical of the support behind that candidate because the chair of the Bonneville County Republican Central Committee clearly is endorsing that candidate.
Yeah.
Breaking bread with that candidate.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you start to when the things start to add up, you go, yeah, probably.
At some point, you feel like it's a rigged game, right?
Yep.
Like you're there. Well, another thing, and I've seen a lot about this, Julie, everywhere there's a dumpster fire. Everywhere. The shenanigans that go on. I don't know that you should have candidates who are sitting lawmakers also holding precinct positions.
Yeah. This is happening a lot.
It is happening a lot. And I think what it is maybe that's just the game that's going to have to be played here from here forward. And I don't want to hear a single person whine about it in the future if they're okay with it right now.
Also, I don't go to those meetings. Look, my life is very busy, and I actually think that the central committees are a little overblown.
Yeah.
So I don't go to those. Here's the deal, though. We've heard that these people who hold a position in the legislature and also a PCO position frequently don't show up to the meetings.
Yeah.
We've heard that some of the Gem State conservative candidates that were elected into those PCO meetings haven't even bothered to show up for a meeting.
Yeah. Other than the organizational meeting. And then,
there you go. It makes you feel like the whole thing was put together. These people were told, hey, you don't even have to do it. You just need to hold a position so we don't get any kind of pushback from anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we got a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up after this on News Talk 107.9. Okay, we can't. I gotta just have a cup.
Trump got the memo. He's wearing a purple tie.
Oh. What was the memo?
I don't know. The purple must have something. This lilac purple color must have something to do with the women's website that he put up.
Yeah.
That he made, and those women behind him are there as part of this announcement that it's kind of his counter to Planned Parenthood and options for women to go and find information on adoption services and how to take care of your body and hormone help and things like that. So
let's do an advanced Windows.
Monday, pass a little love around. Tuesday, pass a little love around. Feel like
from?
Old Disney movie. It came to my mind though because I am so ready for this campaign season to be over.
Oh, I am too. Everything feels
so over it.
Everything feels itchy and irritating right now, doesn't it? It's like I get tired of everyone. Okay, we'll have 2 minutes, so I don't have my. This is yours, right?
Are you going to steal it? You can steal it.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got skills.
At least look at it. I've got the phone number.
I got skills. We can do this.
Okay.
It's my follow-up autoimmune appointment today.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you getting test results or?
Yeah, I mean, I've examined all the test results and put them through Grok and ChatGPT. So I'm not sure he's going to tell me anything I don't really know.
Yeah.
But now we make a plan.
Good. Is that up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 9:57 News Talk 107.9. Want to talk about your windows for just a moment. It hasn't been that hot, but the heat is coming. Summer is on its way. And if you want windows that keep the heat out and the cool in, now's the time to make that phone call to our good friends at Advanced Window Products and get the process started. It takes a little bit of time because they actually oversee the process from the beginning to the installation. They manufacture the windows with the best products, and that takes a little while because they fit those windows custom to what your home needs.
Yeah, and you want to ask them tons of questions. They have a lifetime warranty. They have financing options available. The windows are manufactured regionally, so they don't have to travel across the United States and go through these vast fluctuations of weather, which might change the argon gas in between the window panes.
Yep.
So you're getting a better quality product for multiple reasons. Plus, it's a regional thing. You're helping people locally. You're helping people in the region. That's what we want to do here. We don't want to make another state strong. We want to make our state strong. So many good reasons to get a hold of Advanced Windows.
And financing, yes, it's available. Yes, they have a lifetime warranty, even for knucklehead breakage. If you throw a ball through the window, they're going to warranty that window for you. Give them a call today. This is their new phone number, 208-907-8600. That's 208-907-8600. And by the way, when you order 10 or more windows, you always get big savings with Advanced Window products. Well, Julie, tomorrow we have Larry Golden joining us at 7:30. He's challenging Britt Raybould, and also Mark Fitzpatrick, gubernatorial candidate, is going to join us as well.
8:35.
So, all right, everyone, have a wonderful Monday. Julie and I are back tomorrow.